We are
Annie and Konstantin.
And you're watching another episode of
Updates.
And as you may recognize, in our constant strive to make things different, not necessarily better, just different, we are taking Frank along and wanna do an update video while we're shooting the Depression Anxiety Life Hacks episode 3, which is going to be released before episode 2 because that's just how wild we are. In news,
we were on University Radio in Stuttgart on Tuesday to talk about Konstitutionelle Anarchie and the projects we're working on and all of that. I think it was a class project sort of thing of a friend of ours, and her professor was quite impressed. I think probably mostly with her, but we're going to pretend that he was also just completely impressed with us. He was definitely very interested in Konstitutionelle Anarchie, which is always very nice. So through this radio thing, we acquired at least one more person who is interested in us, and I think that's pretty nice. Also, we got to test out the whole radio thing, which was a neat experience. We weren't awesome at it yet, but we're gonna get there, so we're more than happy to do more radio things if you happen to have a radio thing that you want us to do. I don't know if that makes any sense. You shouldn't have me talking while I'm driving. I am not coherent.
Hello. So we officially started shooting with doing the dishes, because obviously you need to do chores before you can do stuff.
Really, it's Konstantin's way of tricking me into doing the dishes by saying, we need to do that for a shot. You need to be washing a dish. And I'm like, okay.
So this is how a DIY light setup looks like. In case you ever wondered, you just basically use whatever you have.
Don't forget the dirty ass single bulb on the ceiling. Welcome to my couch. I've been telling you about my couch for weeks now. This is my couch. There's no wine involved, but this is my couch. We are taking a little break from shooting and eating instant rice, because that is what high-class filmmakers do.
At least until we have our 5-star catering service.
We're gonna have a 5-star catering service?
Of course.
Obviously.
A vegan 5-star catering service.
I'm so excited.
But for now, microwaved rice has to do it. And we also take the time to ponder our epiphanies. There is this notion that by this and this age or this and this phase in your life, you have to have achieved a certain thing. Be it a child or a house or a dog or, something measurable. So, with this age you should be at least accomplished that. And I have struggled with that for a couple of years. The age 27 was a fixed idea because, it's obviously true that your mind has a peak development stage and after that it's declining. It sounds horrible, but it's just the way biological things work. And I've read all over the place that basically at the age of around 27 is your peak, and then you just gradually go down.
Really?
Yeah.
Your brain isn't fully developed until 25.
Well, yes, but then it's developed and then it goes down.
Well, shit.
Especially if you're an artist, you have to accomplish some sort of an early masterpiece by the age of 27, because after that it's just, it's going to get harder and harder. And this was a thing that haunted me for a long while. Somehow when I turned 28, which definitely has to do with the change of my surrounding and the fact that I started going to grad school and had, more time to think about the things that are important to me, it's not that bad anymore. As in, I realize that life goes on after the age of 27 and that everyone has his own pace. And that the worst thing is the fear itself. I came to realize that because I had this conversation the other day about a filmmaker who made an amazingly incredible film at the age of 25, 26. And a few years ago it would have bothered me hearing that. And now I just realized, so I think, good for him. And that's just my epiphany, how my perception about age and having to have done something has changed. Yes.
Well, my biological clock is ticking very loudly right now. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I think time is a good keyword. I'm going to piggyback off of your epiphany and you can't stop me. I always kind of had that same problem because my parents did everything very, very young and I always felt like I was way behind. And then I was just on the perfect track, basically. I was, graduating from college and I thought I'd get this perfect job and just be put away and, good with life. I was on that ideal track, essentially, of you are now, 23 and your life is settled, congratulations. And then everything just kind of imploded bit by bit, which was good because the things that imploded were bad things that I didn't really want, that weren't really right for me. But then there were those 3 years that I essentially lost because depression is pretty freaking evil and escitalopram is a hell of a drug. I keep thinking about that, especially recently, because I keep thinking about last winter and I can't remember last winter very well. I can't remember what the weather was. I remember what I was doing. I remember the rough, benchmarks of what happened, but I don't remember any details. I don't remember what it felt like. I don't remember the Christmas spirit and the Christmas preparations and that sort of stuff. I don't remember that sort of stuff. And so it's been kind of odd the past few months coming out of that fog, ever since the summer, basically. I've been functioning again bit by bit, and I keep functioning more and more. And I think that makes that whole time thing and that whole brain decline thing seem so silly because at, my peak, I couldn't think. I had no capacity. And now I'm back to a point where I actually can think and I actually can do things. And it's crazy today shooting the Depression Anxiety Life Hacks because I'm doing so much better than I did when we shot the last episode because my brain is just that much more cooperative again. And that kind of makes time relative. I hate that I basically lost 3 years that I spent in a kind of fog of, just being profoundly unhappy and broken. But I'm coming out of it now, and that makes time not matter so much because I function now. And the concept of now is a thing I'm just now beginning to even grasp. The whole living in the moment thing was always this fun idea that I never actually related to because I was planning for what would happen 5 years from now. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to counter your epiphany or join your epiphany, kind of both at the same time, in saying that time doesn't freaking matter because things happen. Life happens. And you deal with it as you do. And sometimes you lose some time, and sometimes you lose a weekend because, you're just not feeling well. And sometimes you lose 3 years because you're not feeling well. But that doesn't mean you lose anything because there's still so much to be had afterwards. I think. This is not a coherent epiphany at all. This is going to be a nightmare to cut. You can't see Jolene in the picture. Maybe we should switch positions if we're going to do that.
What?
See Jolene.
Ist egal, man hört's.
But you can't see the hands.
No, I'm not a show-off.
It's not about showing off, it's it's an integral part of the draw of guitars, I think.
Now you see the guitar.